Good evening, vinyl community. Hi, hope everyone's doing really well. Rob back just for another very quick video. So three lots of finds to show today, which I'll rattle through quite quickly. I've got a couple from Ben's that I picked up yesterday. I've also got some online purchased the CDs and a handful of records that I picked up from the record fair that I went to in Harborne in Birmingham last Saturday, which I haven't got around to showing yet. But we'll show them now. So yeah, Harborne, for those who don't, not in the UK or not living, not familiar with Birmingham, it's a suburb of Birmingham, and it's about half an hour's drive from here in Solihull, not too far from the university. It's where my parents were both brought up. So yeah, it's a sort of place, I suppose, quite dear to my heart. So anyway, so went last Saturday. I didn't go for the early bird, which was at 10 o'clock. I decided to go for the 11 o'clock opening time. I since found out that was quite a mistake because when I got in there, there wasn't an awful lot really. I suspect that probably the dealers had got in there first and picked it clean. Certainly of all the bargains, all the really good sought after stuff that they probably negotiated deals with because they were buying bulk. I don't know. I mean, this is just supposition, but I would imagine that's probably how it works. Which, in a sense, that's fair enough. The dealers, they've got to get their inventory from somewhere. But what kind of annoys me with these fairs is that sometimes they're advertised online, but they won't actually tell you how much the early bird is. So you turn up early, and whatever it is you're going to pay, because you're not going to hang around for an hour outside waiting to get in for the £1 admission or free or whatever it is, to go in with the rest of the public. So anyway, I turned up at 5 to it was about 10 to 11. The door wasn't open. They clearly weren't going to let us in. I was chatting with a guy outside, which was nice. It was a nice day, like it's been all this weekend. We've had some pretty nice weather here in the UK the last few days, so it wasn't too bad at all. And sort of chatting, and as it turned out, he knew Ben as well. He'd been to the shop before, so yeah, that was good. We eventually tried. They opened the door, and about 5 to, we just figured then that we could go in, and the guy behind the counter turned around. He says, "No, sorry lads, no, I can't let you in. No, 5 minutes. It's too early. No, that's gonna upset the those that are paying the premium, for the for the early birdies. It's like, they've got to have their full hour. Otherwise they're not going to be happy." It's kind of ridiculous. There's like 5 minutes. I mean, the amount of digging that you can do in 20 minutes, let alone nearly an hour. But anyway, whatever. So we got in, and so had a look round, and picked up a few bits. So I actually ended up getting four records. So not the biggest haul I've ever had from a record fair, but not too bad at all. So this first one was from a guy that I think I'd actually bought some records from him before, from when he was at the Bromsgrove Record Fair, which was at the hotel. and I think he's basically just kind of selling off his old record collection. There's nothing amazing in there, but all in really pretty good condition, and so on. And it was all half price. So I went through, and there wasn't an awful lot of stuff, a lot of easy listening and so on, sort of charity shop fare that you normally see. But I think one of the last records at the back of the stack was this one, which is Renaissance of the Celtic Harp by Alan Stivell, which I was aware of. A mate of mine had this years ago. I remember I always really enjoyed listening to it. So this is a repro 80s reproduction on Philips label, and it's I can tell it's a reissue because it's got a priceless inner sleeve with the Mercury and Philips records that they reissued in the 80s cheaply. But for £1, very glad to pick this up. It is actually got a bit of crackle on it and so on, a bit of surface noise, even though I have cleaned it. But as I say, I wasn't too fussed because I only paid £1 for it. So, and I did in fact actually order a CD copy because this was really cheap, which is a French copy on Dreyfus Records. I'm not sure when this came out. The original album came out in 1972, I believe, digital mastering. But yeah, that was only a few quid, so happy to get that. So yeah, I mean, if you've not heard this album, this is a classic Celtic harp all instrumental album, I think it's variations on sort of folk themes and traditional Celtic music. So there's extracts from Welsh manuscripts, I think there is actually some choir. There is actually some choir on this, actually on side 2, I think, of the record. But the first side is all instrumental. So, but yeah, it's beautiful Celtic harp, playing, very atmospheric, quite, I think, progressive. So it's one that not just folk enthusiasts tend to go after. I know my mate had it. He was a big prog fan. Really enjoyed it, and I don't see it around that often, so I was pleased to pick it up. Okay, second one I picked up was this one. This is one from my Nick Lowe collection. Never had this. This is Labour of Lust. So this is 1979. I think this is his second solo album. The inner sleeve, Nick there. Bizarre record in terms of the fact that there's no writing credits on the sleeve whatsoever, and not even any on the inner sleeve. So you have to actually look at the actual record itself. So obviously this has the single on, Cruel to Be Kind, which I always really liked. And it's kind of typical Nick Lowe rock pile. I think Dave Edmunds is playing on this. So you know what you're getting, and it's just thoroughly enjoyable. And I think I paid £3 for this. So, and it's sort of VG plus. Sleeves a bit raggedy, but the around the edges, but the album's in really good condition. So pleased with that one. Third one I picked up is this. This is a record that I heard many years ago. Hadn't heard it since though. and was intrigued to pick it up. I think this was about £4. This is Todd Rundgren and a cappella. So this is from 1985. And as the title suggests, it's all just all vocals. All the instruments are all kind of vocally orchestrated by Todd in only the way that Todd Rundgren can. He's got a very individual style. Doesn't sound like anybody else. Yeah, the production obviously is a bit of its time, but it's really interesting listen. The way that he replicates the drums and drum machine sounds of the time, just using various sort of electronic effects and so on. And yeah, really quite enjoyed this one. This is on Warner Brothers. To come with an inner sleeve with lyrics as well. It's in pretty much mint condition, so I don't think it had been played hardly at all. Then moved on, and I actually came to, I'd been there for like I think nearly an hour, and I mean I had seen one or two other bits and pieces, but the condition wasn't great, or the sleeve weren't in great condition. You know, the score, sometimes you see things that you like, but it's not what you want to, the condition isn't right or whatever. So but I did see this, which I'd seen at Ben's before, I didn't pick up, and regretted it, but luckily picked this up for a decent price. This is Grace Slick in the Great Society. This is a 1971 album. On CBS. And yeah, this is a live 1966 recording from, I think, San Francisco. And this is the Great Society. So this was the band that Grace Slick was in prior to joining Jefferson Airplane, of course, and has some wonderful versions of songs that she'd written that Jefferson Airplane would, of course, re-record, like Somebody to Love, White Rabbit, and Sally Go Around the Roses, Darkly Smiling's great version of Nature Boy. Just fantastic. It's quite visceral, raw. There's some quite terrible guitar playing in some places, where almost playing out of tune, but it's just a great live performance, just loads of verve and energy, and is a great timepiece, I guess, for Grace Slick at that period prior to her joining Jefferson Airplane. So really enjoyed that. It did have a split on the top. It's one of these tip-on jackets where they kind of split along the top, but I managed to repair it with some sort of V-shaped long pieces of 12-inch pieces of card stuck with Pritt stick at the top, and then just use some light sandpaper just to fill in the seal, and nobody would ever know. So so that's Grace Slick and the Great Society. Pleased to pick that one up. Okay, and then a couple I picked up yesterday at Ben's. This is one that he put aside for me, that he told me that he'd got in, that he knew was on my wants list. Really pleased to get this one. This is Terry Riley and A Rainbow in Curved Air. So yeah, it's classic sort of proto sort of electronic album that's been sampled, emulated, and obviously been very, very influential, I think particularly at the time, to artists like Pete Townsend. I know he used a lot of the ideas for the keyboard sequences and so on for some of the songs on Who's Next, like Barbara O'Reilly and so on. Yeah, and it's just a unique sounding album, and just an essential one, I think, to have in the collection. So I think this is a first pressing in really, really nice condition on CBS. Yeah, that was a great pickup. Glad to finally have that in the collection. Okay, and the other one I bought was this. This is a 1979 release from John Renbourn, and this is called The Black Balloon. So yeah, John Renbourn, obviously Pentangle, ex-Pentangle guitarist, fantastic, wonderful, gifted guitar player. Very much, this is typical John Renbourn, very much kind of taking old medieval tunes and melodies and sort of bringing it up to date and in his imitable style that he does. So yeah, I knew really exactly what I was getting with this, but it's always enjoyable, always a pleasant listen on the Transatlantic label. Yeah, so pleased to get that. Just a few CDs now. This one is one that I'd seen shown several times on the VC. I don't think I've ever actually seen a vinyl copy of it. I know that there's been a volume 2 of this, which is out at the moment, which is, I think, called Another Night in San Francisco. Or I could be wrong, but it's the same. I think it's from the same. Could be from the same tour, or maybe a later tour. I don't know. I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. Haven't done my homework, but it's a great listen anyway. So this is Al Di Meola, John McLaughlin, Paco de Lucia, and this is Friday Night in San Francisco. So yeah, these three kind of virtuoso jazz Latin guitarists got together and did a tour. I think at a time when people didn't go out and play sort of unplugged acoustically in this way, but I think it was such a roaring success that they decided to do it again. I think 20 odd years later, which I think is the new album that's come out. I'm not altogether too sure. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But yeah, this is I streamed this a few months ago. Tried to get a vinyl copy of it, and it wasn't available. And I haven't seen one at record fairs or second hand, so I just took the plunge and bought this. I think this was about £3 or something. It was very, very cheap. Sounds fantastic. Just fantastic energy with the three of them playing together, particularly on the first track, Mediterranean Sundance. Just amazing listen. But yeah, it's enjoyable all the way through. They all kind of take turns to play and sort of play off one another. There's sort of parts where they're playing sort of, having little comedic moments between and playing things like the Pink Panther theme and stuff like that. And it's just, incredibly accomplished, gifted musicians just having fun, basically, and just enjoying the moment. And yeah, it's definitely an enjoyable listen. So yeah, glad to finally get a copy of that. And then while I was on holiday, I got streaming some YouTube music and in documentaries particularly. And I started watching some stuff on Mark Hollis, and listened to some Talk stuff, which is a band I've never really kind of explored. Obviously I was aware of the hits like It's My Life and Life's What You Make It, those big singles that they had in the 80s, but never really explored the albums. So I'd heard that the later albums were kind of better, sort of more, a bit more to them, a bit less poppy. So I bought The Colour of Spring. This one, which I think is kind of deemed as their masterpiece, Spirit of Eden, from, I think it's 86, 88, I think this one came out. And then this is their last album, Laughing Stock, from 1991. Not so keen on this one. I thought that it got better as it went through, to be honest. Very kind of minimalist playing, but I think that one maybe a bit more listening for me on that one. These two I really enjoyed though. Wonderful, Colour of Spring, really enjoyed that one. Just the songwriting is just fantastic on that. Even though I believe this is quite a departure from the first two albums. Really enjoying that. And this one, Spirit of Eden, which I have streamed before, albeit quite a while ago, and kind of was undecided on it, but very atmospheric. Apparently it was made from months and months of just jamming almost in total darkness in the studios, by candlelight, I believe. Just lots of musicians playing bits and pieces here and there, and I think between him and the producer Tim Freeze-Green, I think they just kind of assembled it into this kind of wonderful kind of collage, but it just doesn't sound contrived at all. I mean, the kind of, it's fairly seamless in, particularly when you think how it was put together, and just remarkable really. And Mark Hollis, clearly a unique artist, who obviously sadly no longer with us. And I have actually been recommended to listen to his one and only solo album that I think he did about 7 or 8 years after Laughing Stock. So it's definitely one that I'm going to investigate. But yeah, glad to finally get that into the collection, and enjoying listening to those and getting under my skin. So yeah, thanks again, guys. This has gone on a lot longer than I thought it would. My usual waffleage. So I hope everybody's doing really well. Having a great weekend. Looking forward to the week ahead. Or maybe not everybody, depends on whether you're working or not. But enjoying the late autumn mild weather that we're having at the moment. Some wonderful blue sky days. Been really enjoying going out walking, making the most of all those autumn colours and so on. And all good stuff. So cheers, guys. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.